Welcome to the first podcast of the Sports Family, if you want to call it that. I'm here with Calgary Stampeders DB. Some call him Cooper D. Gene of the CFL. I call him Statz. See how's it going, Val?
I'm doing chill, buddy. Life's good.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Welcome in. Thanks for taking some time out your day. How's your day going?
It's doing good. I had the day off, so I was just doing some extra work on the side and just hanging out. Gonna go work out later. So
I want to start in your amateur college years. When did you know that you kind of had an idea that you were going to make it to a CFL?
for sure, yeah, I know. I think when like most kids, like growing up in Canada, you start watching CFL when you're pretty young. Um, Started playing community football pretty young at 9 years old with my two brothers in the city, and then yeah, we would just be the kids that you know invited all our buddies to the field, call everybody on their landlines at times. They'd meet at the field at 1, and we just play in the evenings, on the weekends, and at school and stuff. And then obviously we started playing organized sports at that point. We started playing for a local club called the Calgary Mavericks, and then went to high school. I always wanted to play in the CFL. I never think it was really a possibility for me until I kind of started progressing a little bit further in my university career. But when I was younger, it was just about I don't know, trying to focus on each single season I was in. So when I was in high school, it was kind of like focusing on having a good season and then trying to get to university. And then university was kind of a year by year thing. Obviously, you get there as a rookie when you first get out and you're pretty young, but 17, 18 years old, you're going up against dudes that are 4, 5, 6 years older than you. So the
And
expectation for me and my
you
brother when we
stayed in
got to
Calgary,
Dinos.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, we stayed in Calgary. Got lucky to be recruited from the Dinos when we came out of high school, which was awesome because I always wanted to play for them when I was younger. So yeah, and then I just every year just wanted to get better than the year I was before. And then I think uh, CFL being on my radar was obviously something I always wanted to do when I was younger and was in university, but it didn't seem like it was going to be a real possibility until I got into around my third year. I got
Yeah.
invited to the East West Bowl. Yeah, and I think it was in Laval that year. Um, but I did well at that combine and that weekend, and I think that's when I really thought that, okay, if I keep honing in on this and keep giving this my best effort, I could probably make a career of it. I didn't know where it was gonna lead me. I just wanted to get drafted, and I would play anywhere. But I got lucky that I got drafted by my hometown team. And then when I got there, it was the same sort of thing as when you started university. It was just like you take it one year at a time, and you try and just do the best you can. So.
Yeah. So you don't got to name a teams or anything, but did you have any other teams call you pre-draft and say, "Hey, you're on our list," or was it like
Yeah, I
kind of
think like
Calgary in that sense?
I was a pretty like under the radar type player. I don't think I got too many some of the big time players. Obviously, they kind of know they're going to be talking to all teams. Um,
Yeah.
I knew that was kind of like the makeup of my player profile, so I knew I would need to perform well at the combine. I actually didn't even get invited to the national combine, so I was at the regional combines. Um, but yeah, I talked to Calgary, talked to a few other teams, talked to Edmonton. I actually before all of this, I grew up being a Riders fan. So my
Oh,
dad's from
yeah.
Saskatchewan. So when I was young, yeah, I was a super big Riders fan when I was a kid. I like knew all the players, had all the memorabilia. Obviously my entire dad's side of the family is from Saskatchewan. So I always thought it'd be cool to play for the Riders. But I mean, as I started getting a little older and going to UFC, and a lot of my teammates were getting drafted by Calgary, I just kind of became a fan of the whole CFL in general. And then teammates and players that I played against were playing in the league. So I mean, obviously, I was a Riders fan. I started becoming a Calgary fan at that point. I started cheering for the players that I'd played with, and just kind of watching them on the weekend and seeing how their careers were going. So just became a fan of the whole league itself. But yeah, obviously, it'd be cool to play for any team. Riders would have been sick if coming out of uni if that happened that way. But I mean, Calgary was home, and I really wanted to be here, so it kind of worked out that way. And I was super blessed that I got to play for my hometown team. Obviously, it's sick when your family and friends can come out to games every week.
And obviously, what atmosphere over in Rough Rider Nation, it's insane compared to any other CFO team out there. But
No,
di-
for sure. Like, I do think like all the teams have great support, but yeah, the Riders are very unique because they're like, I think they have a lacrosse team now, but the Riders are like their main sport in the whole province. All towns up north or south or wherever, everyone's cheering for the Riders. it's funny. You even watch the Grey Cup or even like the Super Bowl. You watch some NFL games. There's always a Rider jersey in the stand somewhere. So
Yeah.
they have a crazy fan base. So
No, it's funny because we had family in Manitoba, so we were driving back from Manitoba to Alberta, like, years ago at this point, and we stopped in some random shitty town for, like, gas and, like, food, right? And must be a game going on that day. All you see is green jerseys in some shitty little town. Like,
oh
it's
yeah,
pretty
no, the
hardcore.
super fans everywhere. There's Rider fans everywhere across country.
Yeah.
So
And then, honestly, did you ever have a big time agent, or was it kind of dad on the phone taking calls for you at the start, or how did that work for you?
yeah, so like I said, I think I was pretty under the radar type guy. So coming out of even university and the whole draft process, like I was doing it all myself. I just wanted to get drafted. It didn't really matter where I was going to get drafted. Um, like I said at the beginning, I was kind of just doing things on my own. I had an agent, Vince Piazza from out in Miami, so he reached out to me after my first couple of years, and then had him for a couple of years, and then I actually started working with Rob Fry, who's like a very respected agent in the CFL. So
Yeah.
Rob has like tons of good players, and my good buddy Micah Tights, who
Oh, and
I
I
played
love that guy. You know, it's such a great
yeah, no,
linebacker.
it's such a beauty. So I played like community football with him, and then we obviously stayed connected through high school, and then we actually ended up playing being teammates at Dinos. So he had gone to the league a few years ahead of me, and when he came back to Calgary, I think maybe when he came back or the year before, I we were training together. So I was talking to him about getting potentially a new agent, and he actually like sent me Rob Fry's contact information. And then we had a chat about that. So that's how I just kind of started working with him. So shout out Micah Tights, got me my agent.
You know, and like shout out, I like thinking about Calgary organization in general because they always bring back like hometown talents, you know? Like just trying to think off my head here. They had Fraser Sopick. Unfortunately, he had to retire, but he came back. Jalen Philpott.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Calgary does a really good job at recruiting locally, especially and they're Canadian guys. Like they keep a lot of their draft picks and they like to develop their Canadian talent. So I really appreciate that about the program itself. And obviously, like being a local guy was pretty easy for me to, I took when I got drafted, I made jokes about moving my locker room from, one part of McMahon to another part of McMahon. So,
Yeah.
and then Tights coming back from Saskatchewan and playing at home. So they do like to bring local guys in, and I think it's a testament to the Dinos program. It was such a strong program for so many years in a powerhouse out west. So I think like a lot of CFL teams, that, the guys that graduate from that program kind of know how to be a pro. So
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you got drafted, you went Campus Calgary, and then you go back for your senior year.
yeah, so I got drafted in 2019, and
Yeah.
then at the end of training camp in that year, they asked if I wanted to go back for my senior year, and that was kind of a plan I always wanted to do because I knew we had a really strong team going into that 2019 season. So I told all my coaches at Dino that I was coming back right after camp, and then about like 3 weeks later, the Stamps had called me because they had an injury, so they wanted me to be on the practice roster that year. But at this point, I'd already reapplied for school because I was graduated, so I applied to a post grad program. I told
Yeah.
the Dinos I was coming back, and I was obviously one of the vets and an older player, so I didn't think it was super fair, like last second, to be like, "Oh, by the way, I'm not coming back." So I had a conversation with Dave about that, and he honestly encouraged me to go back and just enjoy my senior year and just. I obviously needed to get a little bit bigger and stronger, things like that. So there are things I needed to work on coming out of my first camp anyway that I felt like, yeah, looking back, I think it kind of worked out anyway, especially moving into 2020, the whole COVID thing happened. So it would have been weird to play, a year on the practice roster, then sit a whole year because of COVID and stuff like that. So I actually back and finishing my education degree. So I got my teaching
Oh,
certificate, which was awesome for being in the off seasons to do that.
yeah.
And then, yeah, that year of COVID, I was technically on the team. I had signed back right after the Dino season, but just a chance to train in locally with the guys that were already here and kind of build those relationships with the players that were on the team and the vets. Guys like Bo Levi were in town, so it was awesome to kind of like
Yeah.
get to know him on a different level other than just being a rookie in camp. So I think it was kind of a blessing that I had that year, and I don't regret going back at all for my senior year. It was awesome, and we won the Vanny that year. So I couldn't have worked out any
And
better. I got
didn't
to
you
end
play
my
with your
university career.
brother Aaron in the Dinos too?
Yeah, so I got to play with my twin for honestly my whole football career, which was sick. Yeah, and we both went to UFC. Got to play
Yeah.
5 years with him, which was awesome. I redshirted and he didn't, so we were on different years of eligibility, which is why like my senior year I didn't get to play with him, which kind of sucked because we won obviously. So it was cool to do that with him. But he was part of my football journey all the way through, and obviously a great player, and my main support system all the way through. So it was awesome.
I love that. And then, like you said about Dave Dickinson, I think from what we all see, I think everybody loves him. Look at his tenure in Calgary. He's been there for basically forever at this point. And I just think everything you see in the media about Dickinson is just like great news, And it's like, hopefully players want to stay in Calgary, especially in a league where there's lots of turnover. There used to be.
Oh yeah, no, Dave's been a part of the CFL for decades
Yeah.
now as a player and a coach,
Yeah.
and one of the most respected coaches. Like him and Huff kind of built up like a dynasty in Calgary. So both those guys have my like utmost respect. And obviously he was a coach that kind of brought me into that organization. And I was so lucky to be part of that club because, they run things first class and they treat people with respect. And, I was coming to a team that was, I think that before I went there, they had been to in the last 5 seasons, they went to 3 Grey Cups. So like obviously they were producing, really strong teams. And yeah, like I know Calgary when I was there towards the end, we were struggling a bit. I think my final year was the first year we didn't make playoffs in a really, really long time. So obviously there's going to be some changes that happen with, the organization structure and stuff like that. But yeah, I even obviously I keep tabs on the team still. And last year they performed like super well getting VA as a free agent. And, people think Calgary kind of fell off for a bit, but they're always going to be one of the strongest teams in the West for sure.
But, like, you look at scouting, if you're good at scouting, you're gonna be good, and I know they're gone now, but Jalen Hutchings and that Jacob Roberts fella, they were 2 great players last year. Unfortunately, they move on to NFL. Hopefully, they make it there, but even if they don't make it there, they know Calgary's gonna be home no matter what?
Oh, 100%. Like, especially when you're recruiting like top quality American talent, like especially the younger players, like if they have good seasons, like they're going to want to obviously go down south again and get another shot at the NFL. So yeah, those are 2 great recruits that they brought in, and played a couple years with J Rob. And, he was obviously super young when he came in. I think he was only 23 when we first got there, but so like a tremendous amount of upside. And yeah, that's the unfortunate thing about the CFL is like, especially when you do a great job of recruiting some of those guys from down south, like reality is like some of them might be leaving in a year or two. So, but yeah, if you leave like the door open with a great relationship, like of course those guys are going to want to come back to the teams that treated them with respect. So I imagine the Stamps treated them very well when they were here, and they obviously were very successful in their season that they had up here. So yeah, like if something doesn't work out with the NFL teams are on, like they could be in camp or they could come later in the season. That happens all the time. So
And, like, as you said about guys going down and coming back up, I used to talk Richardson Danny, great guy when I was talking to him. He went down to New Orleans for the U team, I think, and then he came back up because he got cut in, like, the last, like, preseason cut. So he came up, and that guy was, like, just such a good guy to talk to, because, like.
yeah. No, Richie's a beauty. I played a couple years with him at Dinos as well, and then I got to play a few years with him at the Stamps. And yeah, good player. But you see like players like that who if they have a good team, they obviously want to come back. Even you look at like a one of the main dudes in Calgary, like Reggie, when he went down to Green
Yeah.
Bay. Obviously he had his little stint down there, but then he comes back right to Calgary, picks up where he left off. Like that's what you want to see with like a good program that especially if talent leaves, they come back. So.
And talking about like producing elite talent in CFL, Alex Singleton, I'm a Denver fan, so I think it's so great. I can have a guy I draft in CFL, and then go watch him shine on my favorite NFL team. I think just like the best.
Oh yeah. Oh no, Alex Singleton's a legend, and like he faced in the last few years, and to perform the way he's been doing, like, and honestly, Alex is such a great promoter of the CFL. Even if you look at his social media and Twitter and stuff, like he's always promoting the league. He's always giving respect to Calgary. He's always giving respect to the CFL. So just to have a caliber player like that, who's having the success that he has in the NFL and still promoting the league up here, it's just awesome to see. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, obviously, I've never met him, but he just seems like such a humble and great dude. I know you missed him by what, 1 year? You missed him by 1 or 2 years, right?
Yeah, I think the year I got drafted, he was on his way out. I did meet him at it was like a random party with a bunch of Stamps guys and a few guys that I knew from Dinos, and we were at it was like a Stampede party, and he was there. And this time it was my first year, so I was just like a rookie in camp. And obviously, I'm not the biggest dude. I don't even look like I play football. So I went up, and then I think he like whispered to somebody like, "Oh, this guy on the Stamps? Like, what the hell?" But yeah,
No, it's fun.
but yeah,
It's
no,
funny you
super.
bring it up. It's
Yeah, no,
funny you
he's a
bring
super
that
nice
up
guy. Yeah,
because I want to talk about also. I'll talk about it now. When I met you in Sylvan Lake for the first time, I actually knew who you were from watching like the Stampede and stuff. And I think you're with your brother. Then your brother goes to me, "Hey, do you know who this guy is?" I'm like, "Yeah, Nick Statz," and he's like, "No way." Yeah,
yeah. No, I was actually with two of my friends. We were on a I was on bye week, so my buddy invited me up to Sylvan Lake because him and his dad actually own like a big RV site company. I think it's
oh,
called
sick.
RV Sites Alberta. So they do a
Yeah,
bunch of like developments in Alberta and BC. So he has a site out there, and they develop like a resort with like a golf course, and yeah, it's honestly
yeah.
super cool. I think it's called RV Sites Canada. I believe that's his company. But I was out with him for the
Okay.
weekend, and then yeah, we went to the local bar there, and yeah, we rubbed shoulders. It was kind of funny.
No, it's like so funny just because like I remember like telling all my friends because like obviously I'm a big CFO guy. Then all my friends are like minor CFO guys, like they're watched, but they don't know many of the players, right? So I'm like, you won't believe what I just met. They're like, who do you meet? Then they're like, how the fuck did you scope him out? You know?
Yeah. No, it's funny,
Yeah,
especially with the CFL. Like you said, like a lot of people don't really know what the players look like in their normal clothes and stuff like that. So I
exactly.
always found it cool, especially around Calgary, that when people recognize me, like it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen a few times. And for CFL guys, I think that's like a cool thing. Like I still even remember when I was a kid. Obviously, I loved football and loved CFL, so I was a huge fan. And I remember at the time. This guy named Ryan Thelwell. I don't know if you know who he is, but he used to be
Yeah,
one of the receivers for Calgary for a few years, and
yeah.
he actually lived in my neighborhood. I didn't know this at the time, but he was with his
Good
daughter
boy.
at just the Max convenience store, and I was such a
Oh,
shy kid that I didn't want to go say hi to him because I was so shy, and
yeah,
I was like, oh, that's Ryan Thelwell. I saw him in some of his Stamps gear, and then I remember me and my buddies went up to him and said hello, and I think that means a lot, even just for like, especially some of these American guys. They come up here and they might not think that people know who they are. And then, you get
yeah.
a random kid from a neighborhood says, oh, like, are you in the Stamps? I think that means a lot. I feel like that meant a lot to him. I don't know if he might remember, he might not, and that's happened for me. Like, I definitely, it makes you feel good, and it makes you feel like you're kind of part of the community and the team. So it's always cool
No,
when it happens, but
for sure, and it's like Sylvan Lake, I swear it's a hot spot for Midian people because last summer, I don't know if you know Brandon Hagel, but Team Canada, Tempe Lightning star forward. Me and my friend, we met him at Bucks and like in like
oh yeah, no,
August.
yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like Sylvan's a good place for that because in Alberta, it's definitely one of the main lakes that people will travel to in the
yeah.
summertime and stuff. So. Mm.
Um, they introduced the Stampede Bowl the first year that you're not playing. Kind of rude for them not to do it, you know. But like, what do you think about the Stampede Bowl? Obviously, Stampeders got winning first year of it.
Yeah. Dude, I think it's amazing, honestly. Like, I remember even having conversations with some friends, even when I was, you know, in university or like in my future years of Stamps. I always thought that that should have been something that they should have been doing in general. Um, but I understand like the logistics behind it. It's like probably super hard to plan and organize, but like there's
Yeah,
already so many people that are here for the Stampede and obviously celebrating that event. And you have so many people from the States and from different provinces. It's like a no-brainer to kind of showcase the CFL product during that time when people are here anyways spending their money at different types of events. So
yeah.
to add that to part of the Stampede Festival is like I think it's amazing, and that's a testament
And
to
I think it would just bring
everyone.
more eyes to a game, you know.
100%. And it's like it makes you feel like it's something special. Like, in the States they do bowl games all the time. So I
Yeah,
do think it's exciting. It's a kind of way to, I don't know, bring some excitement into different parts of the season. Like during Stampede, it's like a month before Labor Day. Obviously, the Labor Day buzz is
yeah,
huge in the CFL, but I think it's a great way to kind of kick off summer in the CFL. And I love how the CFL starts before the NFL, and it's just exciting. Like, I always enjoyed watching football in the summer, especially when you get off
yeah,
school, and it's kind of like the main sport that's going on at the time. So I think it's great for the city. I think it's great for the league, and I'm sure the players loved it. Like I'm sure the atmosphere was awesome, and like getting the trophy, and yeah, it's just sick. Like it's a cool experience as a player. So I think it's cool, and they brought in like local artists and country artists to do the halftime show. So I don't think there's a single thing downside to doing that. I think it's awesome. So.
And obviously you bring up Labor Day game. How did it feel? Obviously, Labor Day game is probably like biggest game of regular season. How did it feel being involved in the Labor Day process for so many years?
No, it's great, man. That's like one of the coolest games of the year. Um, and being a local guy, I'd gone to games when I was younger, watched on TV, and just being part of it as an athlete was so cool. And I love how we get to wear the black uniforms and wear the all black. It just feels special. And then even before the game with the flyover, like it
Yeah.
just adds an extra bit of excitement. And obviously, you're playing Edmonton, so there's like the rivalry there. So yeah, I loved it. It was awesome. It was cool to be part of it as a player, and blessed to do that for the years that I got to do it. And yeah, no, it was a great experience. Such a cool
And it's funny you say
atmosphere.
that because the last Labor Day game I went to, it was one where it was so smoky out, they couldn't do a flyover. And I remember everyone
Hmm.
being so bummed out about it. Because like Labor Day, you think about a flyover, right? But people
Oh, of
obviously
course.
understood because you couldn't see shit out there, you know?
Oh, it was nuts. I feel like the last 3 years, yeah, there's like always a few games during the year and practice weeks where it's like you feel like you're in Mad Max with like the air quality and like
Yeah.
the imagery. Honestly, I liked it though. Like it was kind of cool, but obviously not the best for like health. But I like the smell of smoke. But yeah,
Yeah.
you got to realize that when there's wildfires going on, there's people dealing with like serious things, like they're dealing with
Yeah.
their homes and stuff like that. So, I mean, at the end of the day,
It
we're
needs a
out there
little
playing a
bit more.
sport for
Yeah.
fun. So
Yeah.
yeah, like we're playing a sport for fun, and there's people out there like having serious things happen with their families and getting relocated and stuff. So you have to have that kind of appreciation as well. But yeah, it was pretty crazy with the air restrictions and stuff, and we sometimes we couldn't practice. We had to practice indoors, so definitely makes prep work a little bit more complicated. But
Yes. Yeah. Then Mark Killam, like known respectable man in Calgary. When he went up to Edmonton, was there a part of you where like I'm hoping he like reaches out, or were you kind of stuck at that point in your career being Calgary and done?
obviously, like Killen's my boy. He was pretty
Yeah.
much my main coach over there for a long time, just because I was mostly like a special teamer guy. But yeah,
Yeah.
I like definitely like the best coach I've ever played for, and like the way that the passion that he brings to the game and the energy that he brings every single day is some of that I don't take lightly as a player. Like you definitely want to be playing for a coach like that. And yeah, he just makes football fun. He makes coming to work every single day like meaningful. And yeah, the dedication that he has to his players is second to none. Like anyone who's played for Mark knows like we all respect him as a man, as a coach, as a person, and he's a good father. He's a good dude. You can talk to him about like life outside of football. Like he's just a good quality person and someone that like yeah you run through a wall for. Um, when he kind of got done in Calgary, like we all kind of knew there was going to be an opportunity up north for him, and honestly, again, you're just so excited for him because he was in the I think he was a special teams coach for over 10 years in Calgary. So
Remember there were
he
rumors like years before he jumped. Like, is this the year that Mark goes up north? Then they go another year. Is this
yeah.
the year that Mark finally goes up north? And I remember it was last off season, right? That he finally went up north.
But yeah, like obviously he was such an integral part of Calgary organization for so long, and Edmonton in previous years were struggling quite a bit. So I thought like
Yeah.
before they had re-signed Killam to his other contract, I thought he may have I think they may have interviewed him one year, but I don't know why they didn't hire him at that point. That was 3 or 4 years ago at this point. But anyways, I was blessed that he still came back, so I got to work with him for a few more years. But yeah, like him seeing even what he did in the last year, like turn the program a bit up there. And like, yeah, like, he's a guy you want to cheer for. Like you hope that he gets success. And like same thing with the Stamps. Like even though I'm done with them, like I wish all the guys success and all the guys I played with. Like that's kind of how sports is when you build relationships with people. Like you want to see them win too, even though you're not a part of it anymore. But yeah, like you kind of mentioned, did I want to play for Edmonton? Well, I mean, the first plan was obviously to re-sign back in Calgary, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have took an opportunity up north for sure. That'd been awesome. I would love to play for Killam again and see how he is as a head coach. Like if he even half the person he was as a special teams coordinator, like he'd be a great coach up there. So yeah, it didn't work out that way, but I'm still like close with Killam. We still text here and there, but yeah, I
Oh,
didn't
that's
end up there
football. Yeah.
for that one season. Yeah, but it is what it is. Like sometimes, especially when you're a new head coach, like you can't be making all the decisions either.
Yeah.
Like you have like a GM that wants a certain yeah, they want to have a structure and maybe you don't fit that exact structure. So, and that's like with everything. Same thing in Calgary, same thing in free agency. Like you have to understand that, um, yeah, you are what the market sees your value at, and if a certain coach or GM or whatever team doesn't need your specific role, then you are at the mercy of that. So sometimes there are things that you can't control. So, yeah.
And then I have one last question about Calgary before we move on here. So obviously Grey Cup has come in Calgary. Obviously you're not playing anymore, but my my grandpa was wondering, shouts to him. Does the city feel different with Grey Cup coming back Calgary, or how does it feel around the city?
Honestly, I think so. Like even as like a former player, I guess, a fan now, like even last year, seeing how well the team did, like there's going to be like a buzz around the team. I think there was a significant improvement in the 2025 season versus that 2024 season. So like you can only assume that they're going to be doing the same sort of things and kind of rebuilding and building off of the momentum that they had last season. And even if you look at the playoff game last year, like they were beating BC for most of that game, and like a
Yeah.
few plays here or there to kind of decide that game. And even at the end, like Phil Pop makes that crazy catch, like that was nuts. Like that was like
Yeah.
that was a big time play. So things like that, like you can get excited for as a fan, and obviously hosting the Grey Cup is a huge accomplishment. It's a huge festival. It brings more eyes to the game, but also it highlights the city. You get to host a festival that's going to be televised on TV. It
Yeah.
brings in business to the local businesses. So I really think it's going to be a great time, especially when we have the Stampede Bowl as well this year. So I think they're just going to be continuing to build off the momentum of that from last year. So I really think it's
Um,
going to be a great festival. I think it's going to be awesome. And I think I can't remember last time Calgary hosted. Maybe it was 2019. The Stamps weren't
I
in it that
think
year,
so.
but yeah, I remember Calgary's hosted a few times, and every single time, like, it's going to be awesome. It's like a classic Canadian playoff game. Like, hopefully the weather is not horrible, but yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I think it's going to be great. So,
So I know you're MGK. Yeah. Do you wish he was performing next year, or are you glad he performed last year?
dude, I love MGK. He's one of my favorite artists, and actually, my twin got me on him. I used to listen to him, but not like I wasn't like a really huge fan. And then he came to Calgary. Um, I think it was after the Grey Cup because he was kind of doing
Yeah.
a tour in Canada. So he came to Calgary. I actually ended up going to the concert. It was my first ever actual concert, which is crazy. But yeah, he was awesome. He was a great performer, Unreal Live. Like, honestly, he's just like, his personality came off on stage and he just seemed like a genuinely real dude. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I've been sick this last year if I was playing and you got to watch like all the guys that, in Sask and Montreal got to kind of, he performed the Grey
Yeah.
Cup, correct? Yeah, so
Yeah.
that would've been cool to see that, but yeah, yeah, I don't think you can do back-to-back MGK Grey Cups, but never say never.
But you know what? Like, I'm calling shot right now. I'm telling you, Tate McRae, Calgary Star, I know who's performing halftime show. I think CFL
That'd
already
be
had that one signed up.
honestly, if they get Tim McRae, that would be huge. Honestly, great for the sport, but also just to, like, like I said, it's, like some of those events are all about bringing new eyes into the sport, and like a person like Tate McRae, obviously she's
Yeah.
like a world superstar right now, one of the biggest artists in the world. So, and the fact that she's from Calgary, like that would be huge.
Yeah. And then, I'm shifting a little bit, local CFL. I was gonna like,
Oh, yeah. So, kind of towards the end of 2025, I was still like a free agent in the CFL. I was obviously still trying to take an opportunity. Anything that came to my door, I was going to take, but, had a few teams called during the season with injuries, but just nothing really pulled through. But, Coach Lapalisse had reached out to my agent, Rob Fry. So again, shout out to Rob Fry. But, they reached out to him and there was an opportunity to kind of like train with Team Canada. So that kind of happened in the fall, and then we had our first training camp with the team there in California in December. So yeah, it was great to kind of get exposed to that sport. I was doing a little bit of it in the summer with my brother's team, but very new to
yeah,
the sport. So Really cool opportunity. And the more and more I've learned more about the flag community and the sport globally, like it's a super exciting sport to be a part of. And yeah, like I said, I'm still learning a ton of things from the vets and the guys who kind of built the program up. But yeah, being a part of it would be awesome. We're playing in Dusseldorf in August for the World's Tournament. So if we medal at that tournament, we qualify for the 2028 Olympics. So obviously they're pushing a lot to build a good quality team, and just everybody in our organization has been so first class, and it's been such a cool experience. Obviously being removed from football, I feel like I was missing a little bit of that. Like I think when the CFL ends or pro sports ends, there's a little bit of a transition period where it's tough to navigate life or just like move on from the sport. Like even for me in my head, I didn't think it was my
But
time to
that's
be
all
done
we
yet.
know.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so you've been doing it for 20 years. It's like, and like it's such a big part of your 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 schedule, your routine, like even how you think about life, how you structure your year, how you go about your daily life, even socially as well. So you definitely lose a big piece of that when sport ends. And yeah, like I definitely was struggling when football ended, kind of where my path was going to be with the sport or whatever it was. But yeah, this opportunity kind of fell into my lap, and I was like, this is awesome, and everyone involved has been so great. So um, yeah, no, I don't want to say I'm on the team because that wouldn't be true. I'm still continuing to train with them, and there's an official tryout in the spring here. So yeah, but just to be part of that group and the organization is awesome, and to represent your country, like that's a huge deal, especially in a sport like football where there's not a lot of international tournaments. So yeah, it's awesome. And yeah, anytime I can represent, my city, I love Calgary, I guess I'm out west, and if I represent my background, the people that are, you know, helped me along the way, to get a chance to represent Canada would be awesome. So like
I just want to say, the moment that I realized this guy, Nick Statz is a rock star, I was on my way Calgary to a game, and I'm on Instagram, and then my team posts like my pregame photos, right? And it's you with Zins in your pocket, and I go,
yeah,
no way. I comment Nick Statz as Zinner. No way, keep him
Zinner.
stamped for life. And then funny how it
Yeah,
turns out in the end, stamped for life.
yeah. No, I remember that comment. That was funny. I
Yeah.
said,
And
I think I replied. I said, "Forgive me, Father, for I've sinned."
thank you for your time today. I appreciate it very much for the first podcast, even though I hate saying it that way. But I gotta say, this year, if it works out, we gotta go hit a game together that way, and then we can go have a night after.
Of course, yeah. Look,
Yeah.
if I'm in town, you're in town. I'll
Yeah.
message some of the guys. We'll get some greasy free tickets, and we'll have a
Yeah.
night out.
All right. But yeah, just again, thank you for your time today, and thank you for everything in the past. I appreciate it very much. And I hope you have a great night.
First, dude, thanks for having me. And like, honestly, like it means a lot to that somebody's interested in me, like a local guy that played CFL. So it's cool to tell, part of my CFL journey, but also just to give some background knowledge about, being a pro and what that looks like. So yeah, I think it's a great experience to kind of for me to give thanks to like everyone who was part of my football career, and obviously it's still kind of going in a different direction, but I never really know what's going to happen with it. I'm taking it all one year at a time, but yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to kind of